Thinking about becoming a landlord? Here's 5 things you should really know.
Coming up next on Real Estate Dirt, and pay attention.
Okay, you're going to become a landlord. Here's 5 things you should know.
Take notes. Pay attention.
Number 1, I want you to know that there are such things as professional squatters. You need to know this out the gate. And one big warning sign we have seen is when somebody offers to prepay the rent up front, but they're lacking some sort of other area of the qualifications you have outlined. So they want to prepay for rent 3 months, 6 months, even a year. But I'd say 3 or 6 months is more likely. We have seen, not our people, but we have seen that be part of a scam. They stop paying after the 3 months up front or the 6 months up front, and then you have a really hard time getting them out. So,
desperately hard time getting them out, and the law is not on your side.
At least in the Chicagoland area, it is favored to the tenant. Which leads into number 2, that you do need to have up front, before you put the house for rent or townhouse, whatever, you do have to know what your qualification standards are going to be. Up front, you cannot, this is kind of bleeding, but let's keep it here. You need to know what the minimum requirements are going to be. Are you going to require a 600 credit score, a 700 credit score?
Pets, no pets?
Are you going to require a 1 month security deposit, 2 month security deposit, first and last month's rent? Are you going to require a pet deposit or a monthly pet rent? Are you going to require 4 times the gross monthly income for the rent? So if your rent is $2,000 a month, you're going to require $6,000 a month gross or $8,000 gross and proof of that income. A lot of our cities here require criminal background checks. So what are the requirements? You need to set those requirements up front and get the verification, and you need to not waiver on them.
You cannot change. In other words, you can't have one set of rules for one person and another set of rules for another person.
Yes.
You can't do that.
You're going to walk into number 3, which is discrimination. That's where it's going to take you. So you need to we do not discriminate. That is off the table. So you need to follow the guidelines. These are the guidelines in order to rent. I want you to have a 720 credit score. I'm just pulling that out of the hat. I want you to make 4 times the gross rent, right, as income. I want your last 4 paycheck stubs. Maybe you'll take an employee letter or what is that? Why am I forgetting what that's called?
Income verification letter.
Income verification letter, but double check
or letter
that,
of intent.
Right? When people are relocating, that could be a case, but I would always qualify those. So you do not want to potentially appear to be discriminating against one person or other. So set the standard, do not waiver, and do not make exceptions for people. So know it up front, because otherwise you're going to be in trouble. And you should also know that, at least around here, state of Illinois just changed it this year, we can't discriminate on source of income. So it doesn't matter where the money's coming from. So if somebody was getting government funds, you can't say, I don't take a Section 8 voucher. You can no longer say that. That cannot be the reason that you do not accept a tenant into your property across the entire state.
Race, sexual orientation, familial status, source of income, all these things, you cannot discriminate.
You cannot discriminate. Number 4, you can say no pets, no smoking, and a certain head count based on the square footage.
You shouldn't be smoking anyway. We've already covered this. You know who you are. You shouldn't be smoking. And you know what? Just because you're vaping, that's actually worse. You shouldn't be doing either. Come on.
I don't know if it's worse or better, but obviously,
just quit.
So there can be a certain amount of people for the square footage of a property. You can't determine whether it's kids or adults. You can't do that because that's a protected class in the prior one, familial status, just so you're clear on what that means. And you can just say no smoking. and no pets, unless that pet is a service animal.
Yep.
Then you're taking the pet. And hopefully you all knew that. Number 5, I think you should know, is that at least here in Illinois, the criminal background check, you can only look back 3 years. You cannot go back through their entire history forever and ever and discriminate, because there is opportunity. I believe obviously they say there's opportunity for reform. So 3 years is as far back as you should go as far as determining what you're going to do. And even then, I'm going to tell you to seek professional guidance on the criminal background check before you make a decision to protect yourself, because you do not, believe it or not, and I'm not clear enough on it to coach you, and nor did I pass the bar exam to become an attorney here. So just be careful of what you think you're going to reject somebody on, even with some, infractions on their criminal background in the last 3 years. It's not an automatic reason to not let them in, just so you know. I think this is very crucial. It's not as black and white as you might think it is. So big words of caution on how you decline somebody. I personally would say to you, as long as, they make the money and they have the credit score, and I do always look up references. So you're taking them.
Just make sure that your standards are the same.
Yes.
No matter who comes to view or inquire about renting the property. That's how you will best protect yourself. Unwavering standards.
And then having those standards to protect yourself from professional squatters. Not that it can't still happen. Obviously, it can always happen. But keep your guidelines up front. Protect yourself. I mean, it's all about providing a quality home for somebody. They're going to rent it. They're going to pay you for it. That's what you care about, right? So
if you put the right things in place up front, don't have unwavering standards, and do your due diligence, you will reduce the likelihood of having a bad experience with renters.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed the top 5 tips. Hopefully you learned something that you didn't think of before. And you know what? Let me throw in a bonus tip. So if they were a previous tenant, we always say don't go to only the previous landlord, go 2 landlords back, because 2 landlords back, they don't have any skin in the game. The current landlord that they're leaving might want to get them dumped off on you. So go back 2 steps. And with that, thanks for watching Real Estate Dirt.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. And you heard it here first.
Pay attention. One day these things could save you a lot of headaches.
It's true. It's true.
Peace.
Peace. You even have to be careful. We just heard something on background check. What you discriminate on, you can only go back 3 years. Here.
Really? Mm-hmm. Do you only go back 3 years when we're disagreeing in our marriage? Can we limit you to 3 years?
No.
Of going back?
No, I get all 27, man.
I want everything beyond 3 years to be discriminatory for you to bring it up and hold it against me. You should not be able to bring up anything that is beyond 3 years in our marriage. Come on, guys. Is anybody else with me?
This is for background checks.
I'm just saying.
But they do it because they feel like people can reform, so you shouldn't hold it against them. But you know what? I mean, you're kind of a repeat offender over 27 years, so I mean...
I'm not bad.
So I could probably rust on the last 3 years, because what you've done the last 3 years is probably
equally as horrible. 3 years.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
3 years. What would I do with my newfound freedom? Yawning again.
It's either that you stress me out to the max, and I'm just like, the things you say, I've just tolerated 27 years of it, and so now my body is reacting with like a stress reliever of a yawn. I think that's what it is. I think it's like a stress reliever. You have to be consistent.
I'm just asking, do you think that my 27 years with you has been a walk in the park?
Yeah.
Do you think it's like been like a 27-year ongoing vacation?
It's like bliss.
I am consistent. I'm consistently awesome.
Cry me a river.